What's up, guys? It's your boy Louis Torres again, and today I'm gonna run my Highwind Phalanx, which is a noise gate, and without question at the moment, the best noise gate on the market, and the Highwind Dire Wolf super awesome overdrive pedal, which is just a monster. So I'm actually going to be starting off with my 1987 Marshall JCM 800, and then going into my Laboga Mr. Hector, Randall Diablo RD100, and then finally my Mesa Triple Rectifier. So I'm starting with the Marshall because, and don't tell guys, or at least don't tell them that I said this, but the Marshall JCM 800, if you're into chugging, does not chug by itself. It needs to be pushed, it needs an overdrive, it needs a boost, anything along those lines, this head needs. So for all those guys who are like, well, Slayer and Anthrax used a JCM 800, those things are so heavily modded that you'll never find a JCM 800 that sounds like Scott Ian's or Kerry King's JCM 800 that they used in the 80s or even in the 90s. And even currently, when Kerry King isn't using his JCM 800 KK model, he's actually using a super modified JCM 800. So again, same scenario. It's absolutely terrible unless you play classic rock, rock and roll, blues. Then it's absolutely incredible. Legit, it's incredible. This is what it sounds like plugging in, just using my Highwind noise gate. So it's fairly chugless. It just doesn't have it. But crank on the Dire Wolf and it's a different story. So keep in mind that the preamp on the JCM 800 is at max. Keep that in mind, it's max. So that's as good as it sounds. It's gonna sound better. And for those who don't know how incredible the Highwind Phalanx noise gate is, on, off, back on. That's how sick that is. And I'm just running it in the front. You actually have a send return on the pedal that you can throw into your effects loop. And although the Marshall JCM 800 does not have an effects loop, the others do. So it's a huge difference when you're using that noise gate through the effects loop. But if you don't, just know it's still absolutely amazing. And again, it's under 200 bucks, so you can't beat it. So, all right, so I'm gonna go on pause, switch over to the Laboga Mr. Hector. All right, guys, so I'm using my Laboga Mr. Hector, which is without question my all-time favorite amp that I've ever used, ever played. you can plug straight through into that thing and it sounds incredible. But like every amp, you want it to just be a hair tighter. And even though this amp actually has bright switches, just like, you know, things like the Fort and Meshuggah, I feel like you can dial back the gain stage a bit and then use the Dire Wolf as an overdrive, as a boost. So I actually cut off the overdrive and everything else is maxed out. So this is what it sounds like without the Dire Wolf. And turning it on. So again, the Mr. Hector by Laboga, for the most part, doesn't really need much, but I feel like it needs a pinch. I feel like it doesn't need to have the gain stage cranked all the way, so I dial that back a bit, and then literally just use the Highwind Dire Wolf to just push it, and it's absolutely incredible. It's sick. And of course, I have a bunch of different pedals, and every major overdrive pedal, whether it's the KHDK Ghoul Screamer, KHDK Paranormal, all of these pedals have great characteristics, and they're all slightly different from each other, which you should expect, because if not, then you'll have 10 pedals that all sound the fucking same, like the Rev G4, the Rev G3. So they all have these cool little characteristics that either work for you or they don't. Some work with more amps and some don't. It just doesn't have that, doesn't reach the threshold that I feel a good pedal needs in order to be able to use it across the board, regardless of whichever amp you're using. And I feel like the Highwind Dire Wolf is good across every amp that I have. Like I've used it on my EVH 5150, my Randall Satan, my Randall 303H, my 153H, my RG 200 G2, my PV6505. These guys, it's just such a diverse pedal, which I feel as a musician, as a guitarist, whether you fucking play out, you're in a band, or you're like me and you just play in your house. I think you need something that A, isn't going to crack the bank wide open, which is always key, because it gets expensive really fast, right? You guys know. And then the other is, you can take that pedal and go to your buddy's house and plug it in, and it'll sound absolutely incredible. So I feel as far as being able to use that pedal across different types of circuit boards with various amps, this one actually does a phenomenal job, and it's great, and let me stop yapping. Let me shoot over to the Randall Diablo RD100H. All right, guys. So now I'm plugged into the Randall RD100, and if you've ever seen a legit, truthful review of the Randall Diablo, then you already know that even with the boost button that it has, it actually doesn't really boost anything. It actually needs a lot because it's such low end, and it's, you know, it's what everyone says about the Mesa Rectifier, that it's just a lot of flub, a lot of loose low end that will drive you crazy. So I've dialed back on the gain. So instead of using the Randall Diablo and doing a before and after, this is literally what it sounds like with the Dire Wolf, using it as a boost. So again, drive off, level max, tone max, all the switches at 12 o'clock. And literally that Randall Diablo with the Highwind Dire Wolf sounds a lot like my Randall Satan when you plug it straight through. So if you have $400, get yourself a used Randall Diablo RD100. Get yourself the $160, $180 Highwind Dire Wolf overdrive pedal, and that's it. Call it a day. Yeah, you literally saved yourself $1,000 right there by not getting the Randall Satan. Although the Randall Satan's an absolutely incredible head, if you're trying to get the same tone without spending, you know, part of your retirement account to get it, then yes, get the Diablo RD100, pair it with the Highwind Dire Wolf, and you'll be absolutely legit set. And again, I clearly have the Diablo, I clearly have the Satan. I know exactly what they both sound like. The Satan is my second favorite amp that I have. The Mr. Hector is my first. So, you know, you're looking at this, my second favorite amp versus my Randall, which is like my 9th favorite. All of a sudden, you know, basically stepping up to second place. So. Okay, so again, get yourself a Randall Diablo. You're gonna love it. Make sure you get that pedal, and it's gonna sound sick. All right, so even though I made a video with my Mesa Triple Rectifier the other day, I'm actually just gonna run it anyway, just because, you know, if I use 3, I might as well use the 4th one. So bear with me. Wow, this thing is long. I'm already at 14 minutes. Sorry, guys. You know, I try to keep it short, but you know, I have 4 fucking amps to work with. All right, so hold on one second. Okay, so last up is my 1993 Mesa Triple Rectifier, 150 watt, and you know, everything you've ever heard about Mesa Rectifiers is 1000% true. It's a beast, and interestingly enough, there's a video where Ola Englund had mentioned that when he got the rectifier, he was so disappointed in its tone, but I feel like they went ahead and created one of the best beasts for metal that was ever created. So, but it definitely needs a little help. So regardless of whether you're using a boost pedal, again, I'm using the Highwind Direwolf. So this amp, the way it's going to sound like now, is not what it sounds like normally. It normally sounds like you have mid at 0, treble at 0, presence at 0, bass at 10. That's what it normally sounds like. Even if you have bass at 0, mid at max, and treble at max, it still sounds really deep. So, it's just a low-end monster. It works, but again, it just needs some help. So I actually have my bass at 3 o'clock, my mid, and you know me, dude, I'm a 0 mid guy. I actually have the mid at 11 o'clock, and treble at 3 o'clock also, presence at noon, and I'm using the Direwolf pedal as a boost. So again, drive at 0 and level and everything else on max. Okay, so I'm done with the amps, finally, because it took a while. Let me put this on standby. So yeah, dude, it's funny talking to guys. There's some dudes that I've talked to who are like me. They're just stay-at-home guitarists and married, 2 or 3 kids. House, cars, buying kids whatever they need. Like, there's literally a bunch of guys that watch my channel and they're just like, I can't buy everything that you have. I'll talk to one guy and he has a Mesa 412 and a Randall Diablo because that was in his budget, and he hates the way it sounds because it's just low end. It's just too almost boxy-ish, And what do you use? What do you use when the money that you make and you have a job and your residual income comes in at a snail's pace because you have to pay for so many other things? And how can you make your amp sound like a monster? And that, my friends, is the Highwind Direwolf. And although Jordan is absolutely amazing, he doesn't pay me to do any of this. I think I've talked to the guy like 3 times, period, 3, maybe 4 times. And, this is just me, having used the Direwolf and realizing, that thing will impact your tone going forward. And I'm glad that a bunch of you guys have actually reached out to me and you're like, I ordered it because of your video. So if you reach out to Jordan, just be like, yo, I watched Lewis's video and that's why I'm getting it, because it sounds like it's brutal. And it really, honestly, honest to God, it really is. It's one of those things where if you have a noise gate, and most people do, and you need one pedal that's going to stand out amongst all the pedals that you have, like seriously, you can get rid of everything and just use the Dire Wolf. And I'm not even kidding. You are totally going to fall in love with that. That's why I wanted to use a bunch of different heads. That way you can see how each circuit, which acts differently, the Mr. Hector is a rectifier, but it's a different rectifier than my Mesa rectifier, just because it uses different rectifier tubes. The Randall is just a straightforward 6L6 with, I think it's 4 or 5 12 AX7s, and the Marshall JCM 800 has EL34s. So they all each have different characteristics. But again, like I mentioned earlier, the Dire Wolf, I feel, just works well across the board, which is crazy. And like I mentioned, I used it with my EVH 5150. I used it on my Satan, and shocked. Even if I'm using a clean channel, and I hate the clean channel. Like, there's no reason to have a clean channel. But even with my Satan, running it through the clean channel, running the Dire Wolf as an overdrive through the clean channel is shocking. Like, yo, what did you put inside this thing? So yeah, man, it's legit a sick pedal. And and someone Yuval from he lives in Italy, but he's from Israel. He was just asking me like, hey, do you still have all of your amps? And I do, just because I want to be able to use a pedal, use something like the Highwind Phalanx noise gate, and just play it across a few different amps so you guys can gauge what it sounds like. And of course, if you're into chugging like I do, it's a great pedal to use along with Jordan's noise gate. So guys, listen, we passed 1,000, and we also passed 4,000 minutes over the last 365 days. Not only did we pass 4,000 minutes, 4,000 hours, because it's like, it's in the hundreds of thousands of minutes. But not only did we pass the 4,000 hours, we're over 6,000 hours. Like, you don't understand how crazy that is. That's like people just watching it all day long. I'll watch my stats, and all of a sudden it's like 1,200 hours, 1,200 minutes have been viewed just in the last 48 hours. And I'm like, how is that even possible? And of course, it's just all you guys just watching different videos. But thank you so much, guys. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button. I'm you, like legit. I'm no one special. I have a guitar, maybe a few guitars and a few amps. But aside from that, dude, I'm not some rich dude. I don't have a ton of money. I sit back. I don't have kids. That's what it is. I don't have kids. But if I could trade all this shit to have kids, I fucking would. Like, legit, I would. So, I'm almost 50. It's too late on that end, but it's all good. Now you get to watch these videos and be like, all right, I'm going to fucking buy the Dire Wolf pedal now. So yeah, man, I'm just some dude in my house just playing, and okay, look, there's another pedal that came out. Let me try that one. So, but again, thank you so much for watching, and for, having over 1,000 of you guys watching my crazy videos. And hopefully I'll continue to make you guys laugh. Hopefully you'll keep watching my crazy videos and see what works for you guys. And, as a consumer myself, just like you guys, I make these videos in hopes that you can make an educated purchase on what you think you need next in your rig. So guys, thank you so much for watching. You guys are the absolute best. And as usual, I will talk to you guys soon.